that I'm going to introduce for meditation practice. And not only for meditation practice. It's called The Path of Purification. Okay? It's a very, very good book. Almost all what I'm saying, or the concentration part, you can find it here. You can find it in here. There is a free online link, right? And if somebody gradually you found it, okay. You maybe email everybody. Sure. Okay. Email everybody about it. It's called The Path of Purification. Yeah. It's by translated from the Pali into English by Holy Ghost. I believe so. Now, I think Hillary, you asked me a question about, the reading, the chapter. This is the book that I'm based on. Okay, that's why I didn't answer you.
Yeah.
That question. Okay, this is the book that I base on from chapter 1 through how many chapters? 6 or 7 chapters. Okay, this is the book. But I did not directly translate the book by itself. Extract information based on the structure of the chapters. But I extract information from other resources. So those are the 2 books. Assignment, 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 assignment. So, anybody read all of them? Other than John?
No, I read 2 sutras.
Oh, basically it's the Anapanasati Sutta and Maha Satipatthana Sutta. I think I mentioned about this. There are 2 Satipatthana Suttas, right? One of them is the Maha Satipatthana, the other one is just the Satipatthana. Difference is in the Maha Satipatthana Sutta, the big one, it gives detailed instructions or talks about the Four Noble Truths more in detail. Yeah. Other than that, the other one, not much of a difference. So here is the structure of this chapter, the development of concentration. It gives you the definition and then the meaning of it. There's not much difference of that. Meaning, it kind of explain it in more detail. Then we have to find out, what are our target of practice. So, the target of attainment, the jhana, the liberations, getting into establishing samadhi, and entering into the jhana. Okay? So, categories of concentration. We have all these categories. Okay? The unscheduled mind, all these. I email everybody. Sorry, very early this morning at about 1:30ish. So I just finished. So, and then there are 2 types of concentration. Okay, it's called defiled and purified, skillful and unskillful. And then we have the prerequisites of practice. What should we do before? What prepare us to practice or to develop? So, and then it gives us, how, the proper way of doing it. We'll go through that. Factors, okay? Basically, it's the 7 factors. What is the 7 factors? What are the 7 factors? It's part of the 37 prerequisites of everything. And then, the levels. In the 4 jhanas, or in the jhanas, there are certain things like it will explain the material part of this form. Okay? The material part of this form, of course it's called material compound. Right? We know that there are 4 elements. Everybody knows about it, right? The 4 elements. But what makes up those 4 elements? There is a Pali word called rupa. Rupa is the body. Okay? Kalapos. Those are the tiniest particles that compose this physical body. So it talks about that. Unfortunately, we don't have time for that next year. So in material state, we're talking about the form realm, the desire realm, the form realm, and then the formless realm. Okay, the jhanas is how do they relate it to that, and then the merits of practice and concentration. Again, those are the things we might not be able to cover. Actually, I might not be able to cover everything in the notes. Okay, definition. Go through the definition. Definition of samadhi, it's concentration, it's unification of mind, okay? And we know that there are 4 bases. When the mind is not obsessed, timeless energy is aroused. This is very important, okay? The body becomes tranquil and untroubled. The mind becomes concentrated, one of the state of practice. So I think you can read that. I don't have to say more about it. Factors. Okay, factors. Says liberation by wisdom. There are actually there liberation by wisdom and then there liberation by faith. So, and then I have a table of judgments for you. These are not my main focus to talk about this time. And it gives you the 8 deliverance, the 8 kinds of liberation, the 7 worlds, the realms, 9 steps into the jhana, and then the 4 jhanas, and 3 types of samadhi. So all these need to be read by yourself. Here, this column here, I don't have space for that. So what I did is I put another table. So how can I put everything into one table? It's almost not possible. Okay? Almost not possible. I shrank my font as small as possible to do that. So these are the categories of concentration. Footnotes. Okay, the 4 jhanas. Now, if you were here for the retreat last time, the master already mentioned about the 4 jhanas, especially in the first jhana. Okay, what did he say? He just said it this morning also. He said that when our 6th sense come in, the key word is what? Contact. Bravo. Come in contact with either the external object or the internal object. Okay, feeling arises, right? Am I correct? And he said that to train the mind not to crave, to give rise to those defilements or hindrances. Where to stop? Contact. When it contacts the external objects or whatever object, internal objects, do not give rise to feeling. Right? Am I correct? Am I understanding him correctly? Okay. So this is how the mind works when we sit. We have the initial application, which is when we sit down at the beginning, we are searching for the object of contemplation. So that is the initial application. Then after we, for example, anapanasati, we search for the breath. At the beginning, our mind will go wacko, somewhere else, scattered, loose, whatever term you want to put it in. So then you search. So what am I doing here? I'm sitting here, supposedly I'm observing my breath. So searching, initial application. Then after we find the breath, okay, our mind is steady a little bit, then we sustain that application. Sometimes it will go away again, okay, but come back. Until a certain point of time, we can sustain the mind to focus on the object. And all these 3 things will appear or arise. So that is when we attain to the first jhana. Alright? The second and third jhana and fourth jhana. If you already attained that, congratulations. Not yet, don't worry about it. Okay? Focus on getting to the 1st January 1st. And here is a table when the initial application and all those stage and where goes what. Plus it's there. Minus is not there. Okay? So another chart for that. 2 types of concentration. It's a skillful means or the unskillful means. Then we have to know the practice as it is. Okay? We have to know about that. So there are 4 types of practice. The Buddha said that there are 4 types of people who practitioners. Some of them are skilled in concentration, but not skilled in other 90s. Okay? So there are, if we go back, there are different skillful means in, there are different skillful means. Where are the 90s? Oh, there we are. It's all in this book. I didn't make it up, okay? It's all in this book. So, well, actually, I lied. It's not all in this book. It's in the Sutra. Okay? Samyutta Nikaya 34.1 to 55. All these are explained in that Sutra. Okay? So, we have to come to like 55. Don't let me scare you. This is part of it. Just a part of it. Superior advanced, how do we get there? How do we get there? Okay? There are sequences. So first we have to train our mind to develop the virtual first, like the master said. Superior training in confidence. Then if we don't have faith, then you want to practice, right? And then discipline. We have to be disciplined. Followed by the sequence of practice. This word is extremely important, and you hear about that in Pali many, many times. It's called Vihara, V-I-H-A-R-A. Like Brahma Vihara, right? In the Satipatthana Sutta, Vihara almost appear in almost every paragraph. And finally, we're ready to train. So those are the steps. Prerequisites. You want me to go through every single one of them? All these are your prerequisites. So I'm just showing you the details on that. Techniques. Now, the techniques here. When you see the word kasina, these are visual things. For example, the earth. Actually, what they did is there are 2 kinds. You know, they can go to a ground and dig out some earth and make it like a lotus bowl or something like that. And they look at it and meditate on it as a contemplation object. So all these 10 kasinas, they are visual objects for meditation. Okay? 10 flowers. Well, nowadays, I don't know if you can do that or not. Maybe you can look at the pictures. But how do you meditate on the real object? Before in India or some, I don't know about China now. In India, when somebody, when someone died, they leave the body there, and then you can visualize, the decay of the body. And then the 10 recollections. These are much easier. If you have a Buddha statue, you can look at the Buddha statue. Or you can look at the Buddha statue not with your eye sense, but with your conscious, the faculty of your conscious. Okay, so those are the recollections. That is very powerful, especially when there are sickness. Okay, when I got sick, before I go to sleep, I kind of focus on the sickness. and contemplate on death. You know, this is my last breath. So these are the recollections or contemplations. Of course, the four divine abodes, the Brahma Vihara, okay, all of these. Perception of repulsive nutrient. One of the interesting things is, like, we know that the physical nutrient is to nourish the materiality, right? The physical body, right? One of them is like when we eat, instead of to stop craving or desire for the food, like the master just said, there is a weird perception that, or application that we can do is to perceive it as we are eating our own child's body. Okay? One of the techniques, I'm not saying that you have to do it, one of the techniques, it's to overcome or antidote for people who have this strong attachment. So, here are all of them. And then the four elements, we all practice that, right? Okay, Satipatthana. This is the key thing I would like to talk about. Sati means mindfulness, bringing the mind to the present moment. Patthana is, well, again, in the focus on the four subjects, ardently and diligent. Not that you know, you look at it and then buy and then you go. No, it's not. Okay, observe the body as it is impure. What are the observations? There are 14 ways to observe the body. You can choose one. So, Anapanasati is the most common, I won't say most effective, all depends on the personality or temperament of the person, okay? So, Anapanasati is the most common practice of it. And there are the four postures, the 32 parts of the body, the four elements, the 9 cemetery contemplation. Right now it's very difficult to do that. You go to the cemetery, all you see is the stones, right? And then observe the feeling, any feeling, even though pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, they are all suffering. Listen. And then the nutrient for that is contact. Master already talked about that. Again, the Satipatthana Sutta, observing the mind, consciousness, as it is impermanent. So how to observe the mind? I think a lot of people talk about observing the body, observing the sensation or the feeling. Observing the mind is observing the process of the mind. Observing the process of the mind, okay? And these are the factors that related to that, and then observing the phenomena. You know that there are 5 sets, okay? 5 hindrances, 5 aggregates, 6 sense bases. 6 sense bases is actually 12 bases, or the 18 realm. 7 factors, this is very important. 4 noble truths. Always related back to the 4 noble truths. Okay. Satipatthana. Observe the body as it is impure. Observe the feeling, it is suffering. Observe the mind, it is impermanent. And observe all the phenomena. There is no such thing as a permanent, unchangeable self in there. Okay? So, and this is a teaching technique that I would like to share with everybody. Before I show this, I did this before the retreat. Before I show this slide, I asked everybody that, did you wash your hands before meal? Did you take a shower last night? Or this morning? Are you sure you're clean? And then I show this picture. Tell me which part of the body is clean. This is one of the teaching techniques. Okay? I don't see anything cleaner. And then we have all these holes, nose, eyes, ears, lower part of the body, all the, what do you call it? Pulses. What thing that comes up from all these holes after? Tell me. Okay, mindfulness of the breath, Anapanasati. We have 16 steps in the Anapanasati. Anapanasati is not, well, we hear about, if you practice samatha, Anapanasati, it's going to help you establish samadhi, right? Concentration. But in fact, if we practice all 16 steps, it's going to fulfill the satipatthana, the insight also, okay? But we have a link. That is, we have to first fulfill the 7 factors of enlightenment before we can gain the true knowledge and liberation. I have no way of putting these in one talk. Okay. The afflictions of the mind. Let's understand the body and the mind. Okay? If we want to practice observing the mind, we have to know what are the afflictions. So with the practice path, we will be able to eliminate all these. There are total 36 afflictions that can be eliminated by practice the path. Here are the mind. What's the mind going on? We have to understand, like I said, when we observe the mind, we have to know that do we have greed in the mind, or is it without? Do we have anger or without? Okay, you can go home and read that. Could be one of the presentation assignment. For mindfulness, for foundation of mindfulness. And we talk about that, we talk about that, we talk about that. Now it's here. This is all the 5 sets. 5 hindrances. We know that all. What about that? 5 hindrances? I think everybody should raise their hand. 5 hindrances. One thing about the 5 hindrances that I would like to share with you is, like the Master said, when the sense organs come in contact with either external or internal objects, before the feeling or any of the hindrances arise, we have to realize that even before they arise, that is the trick. Okay? But there are antidotes to it. There are a lot of antidotes to it. Okay. Now, again, we have to fulfill the 7 factors of enlightenment. And Anapanasati and the 4, and Satipatthana is going to help us do that. And it's, how we go through, how we get it aroused. First arouse, develop, and then fulfill. So you can see those colorful circles and work on it. Jhanas. And then jhanas. Did I talk about, I talked about that, the rupa kalapos. It's the smallest particle that makes up this physical body. All right? And actually, during meditation, we are able to observe. Okay, we are able, when we are sitting in deep meditation, there would be some image that would arise. I'm talking about if we are sitting in deep meditation. First is the body reaction. You can feel the body sensation. And then after that, if we're really going into deep, then you see images. those images are arise because of the mind is in such a deep concentration and calm, they'll be able to perceive it as if you see it, but it's still in the mind. Some people will sit and they feel that there are this kind of fire going underneath wherever they sit, and it will arise. Okay? And especially in the fire element, it's more easier to see the kalapos, see the rupa kalapos. They are actually crystal form of small particles. When we meditate in deep meditation, concentration, you will see those arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing in such a speed that you cannot imagine. So people will focus on that, seeing their arising and ceasing, the process, and think that they are experiencing the process. Okay. The aim, the purpose is not to experience that kind of arising and ceasing. The purpose is to detect where are the 8 elements that comes with the rupa kalapos. Like I said, we talk more about it. And when we do that, we already enter the first, not already, but entering, accessing to the first jhana. Very interesting. There is one more thing that I would like to share with you is when we practice, when we start practice, one thing that we have to make sure is before we practice, one of the purposes, I cannot find it, I'll just talk about it, is that before we practice, we have to make sure what kind of temperament, what kind of personality, what kind of habitual pattern that we have. If I'm a very greedy person, then if I'm so attached to this form, then I might have to focus on my 32 parts of the body. If I am obsessed to knowledge, to the sutta, the words, then I might have to practice what are the right knowledge. If I'm a very lazy person and fear always arises, then I might have to practice something else like the 9 cemetery contemplation. You go to the graveyard in the middle of the night all by yourself, and then when fear arises, how do you deal with it? And not even going to the graveyard, go somewhere else in the wilderness, in the woods, where your fear comes from, if you're a very fearful person. So, know yourself first. And sometimes we say that, how do I know myself? I don't know. Do I get angry very easily? Okay. If you are, then find a suitable object to practice. Any questions so far? Strange. I didn't know around. Those are the techniques that we need to think about when we practice. Those are very, very useful techniques. This book, again, here, it's got every single technique in detail. If we focus on like cut-ups, what are the cut-ups? Cut-ups of the body, the joints, how do we cut it up? Bleeding. How did it start? I focus on bleeding. It's 10 balanced objects. Okay? So every single one, when we practice the Brahma Vihara, that means our mind is in a more, comparatively stable mind. And you put on the microphone, I assume everybody here. I'm sorry for those online. So, the achiness, okay. Here it says, it gives you some of the suggestions, like if you want to meditate, where is the better place to meditate? Of course, you need a quiet place. Anybody were here attending Venerable Jixing's presentation or talk? What did he say?
Ha 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 ha.
He said that we can practice in the middle of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Right? Did he say that?
Yes.
Yeah, right? Did he say that? That is when you're reaching a certain level.
I don't think he suggests
Don't
going
go to
to
the
Times
middle
Square.
of Manhattan and sit there, and your mind is going here and there, everywhere. So, at the beginning, as a beginner, we have to know what is best, what is working for our practice. So, I know I'm overwhelming you with all this information, but if you can memorize it, okay? Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to memorize those, at least. Memorize the structure of this chapter. And see which part that you can get in. Which part that you can get in. Okay? Any questions so far?
Yeah, so I'm looking at your list of unsuitable places,
Okay.
and I'm not. What does largeness mean? Like the first unsuitable place.
Let me get to the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Number one, largeness.
Oh, sorry about that.
Like a big, wide open space, unprotected or something?
It's talking about the monastery. Don't go to a monastery that is too big, too busy, too crowded. Okay, it's talking about, if you go to like Manhattan, then how can you practice? Don't go to a place that is too new. Okay? I don't mean this house.
Yeah.
It's new, but
it still smells
nice.
good. Yeah.
Too new. This is referring to the renounced disciples. Remember all these conditions for the renounced disciples. Because at that time, people choose a big, huge monastery or a new one, thinking that this is beautiful. That another type of attachment is it. Then I don't understand this word. Anybody can explain?
Dilapidated.
What does that mean?
Broken down.
Broken. Oh, okay. Okay, because you have to go there and fix things. Sometimes near the main road. All these are the conditions.
Yeah, it's too distracting.
Yeah. Oh, the conditions here actually are trying to help people, practitioners, to detach. The master just said that. When you hear the music, right? When Carl was doing the cooking. So, if those conditions that if we're not ready, our mind is not stable enough to overcome those hindrances, that at the beginning, just avoid them to start with. When we actually penetrate deep enough, Manhattan is fine. Okay? All depends. Very careful about applying the skillful means. Some people will say that I tell a lie because, I skillfully, I want to apply my skillful means to help people. You at that stage yet? Right? It's just like my friends will say, why are you a vegetarian? Eating meat is as if you're not eating meat. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form, right? Then what's the difference between a vegetable and a meat? At the beginning, when my practice is not that, I'm not saying deep, but not that understanding, then I'll argue with them. No, meat is killing. I'll argue with them, endlessly. But right now, if I hear comments like that, I would just say, maybe you're at that level, but I'm not yet reaching that. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form level yet. So I'm still practicing at the very beginner's level. So I better restrain myself. I better cultivate my compassion and loving kindness, because I'm not at that level that meat is not meat. So, skillful means be very careful about that. Any more question?
Why would being nearby a forest or farmland be unsuitable?
Again, if your habitual pattern is a farmer, say for example, you like gardening, the tendency is you do that, you have this reaction to it. So just keep yourself away. That is why we say that before we practice, know our temperament and know our personality, know our habitual pattern first. Forest, here, where did I see? Yeah, nearby forest, here. Let's remember that this is for monastery or the monastics practice in India, in ancient India. Okay. There are monks at the time, they will cut down trees to make quarters, a resident quarters for themselves. And cutting tree is, not, it's not allowed in one other manner. Am I correct? Because you are what? Or you're taking away the resident of some beings that live in a tree. Any more question? Focus on the Satipatthana Sutra or Sutta. It's very important. Maybe some of the animation I should pick out so that I don't spend time on just clicking the computer. Again, a lot of people talking about observation of the body, but the mind, we know that the body, of course, is a very easy target or object to contemplate on. The mind is much more difficult. Even the feeling is easier because you're hurt, your body hurt, you know that your body hurt. You're feeling hurt, you know that you're feeling hurt. Because feelings like sadness, like the master said, somebody hurt my feeling. You can feel the hurt. But the mind, it's going on all the time. And all these afflictions, it's called latent afflictions. It's very difficult to detect. It's very difficult to detect. These 60 about, Don talked about this, he gave a talk on this, right? Am I correct? Somebody heard about that? So, what happened is, this is the term that we were talking about in Chinese. This is the term, these are the two terms that we were debating about. Shrunken mind. Okay? What does it mean by shrunken? We originally we thought, because in Chinese it's actually shrunken, okay, in the Chinese word, and we were looking for that. What is the original meaning of that? Have you find it? You find that?
I forgot, but I remember that the actually means actually fit you perfectly, like wearing the belt, but it's fit you perfectly. That is the actual meaning. But when it translates into Chinese, it's become her. Yeah, so when from Chinese to English, we look for something different.
Yeah.
That's what the meaning changed.
Right.
During that exam.
So, and then I think the Kobogi did a very good job in talking about the concentrated, non-concentrated, inferior, superior. Those are the terms, actually, they are the terms from another source. I look online, there is a teaching from Dom Nat talking about observation on the mind. Okay? If you're interested, these are actually from there. Not from. I can't find it from this book for some reason. Maybe I overlooked it. So, the first day.
I was thinking about that also last week, and I remember another teacher talking about scattered versus too tight, too loose, too tight, which would tie in with the tight belt symbolism.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
Too tight leads to laziness.
Too tight. It would be like, I don't know if you have experienced that when you observe. At one time I was observed my breath. I focus on this part of my body, and I observe it, and for like about at least 45 minutes I observed my breath. Up to the point that I thought, okay, where is the bottom of it? Because the sensation keeps going on, and I feel that, this part of my body is going like somebody is digging into it, dig, and there is bottomless. There is no end or no stopping. So the sensation keeps going, and it's just like peeling the onion. You heard about the term, right? You peel, and it's still. And I was trying to look for the core of the onion, but there is no such thing as the middle part or the smallest part at all. So the mind is really got tight and focused.
So what did you do?
Keep looking without reacting. Keep looking and keep looking. And there is no end until the bell rings. I have to come out.
I know, so you didn't do that the next time, what did you
It might not happen.
do? Okay.
So I still do it, focus on
okay.
on that part of it.
Right.
But something else came up.
Okay.
So not every single sit that we will come up with the same kind of sensation. It's just like popping. Sometimes you feel the popping all through the body, every single where of the body. And sometimes you're sitting there, where is my pop? No, it didn't happen.
Sometimes if we get too tight on the breath, like I had problems with torpor at one point. What was recommended was changing the object. If you're too focused on the breath, maybe listen to sound. Or do some chanting or something. And that can help you break it.
And that will help with the fear also. My experience is I used to sit into the room by myself especially when children's, on a trip or something, I'll sit there by myself and I have to switch on the lights because I'm afraid of the dark. Okay, I have to, switch on the light very bright and then I sit. And certain things will happen. Okay, so to overcome that, fortunately, I went to this meditation center. They have a small cell that's just like maybe double the size width of this table, and then almost the length of this one. All it's only you can only fit one cushion, a mat and a cushion there. No light, door closed. If you are claustrophobia, sorry. So you sit there, and for 1 hour, 2 hours, you just sit there. No noise at all. It's soundproofed room. So you cannot hear anything, you cannot see anything, even though you open your eyes as big as you can. You can't see anything. So you just sit there, and sit there, and sit there, and sometimes you cannot hear the bell either. For 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 hours, you just have to sit there. At times, I fell asleep. So that was my escape. But that was no good, okay? That was one of the hindrances. So I went to my teacher and asked, I fell asleep inside, so what do I do? And he asked me, I think, I find this very interesting for anyone with the Buddhist teaching, that they would like to answer a question with another question. It's very funny. So he asked me that, then when the sankhara arises, how do you treat it? So sankhara means the mental action or volition. Okay, volition. So how do you treat it? And I said, I just observed it. I said, the drowsiness or sleepiness is one of your sankhara, so watch it without reacting. So that's the way, he teaches. And next time when I sit in there, I try to, look for my sankhara, my sleepiness, and it won't come. So it all depends on when the condition is ripened, your hindrances will rise, your mindset will rise. The key thing is, how do we deal with it? How do we deal with it? Don't look for it. And you hear people saying, ooh, I have such a good sitting on my last session. I have this tingling sensation all over the body. Ooh, so comfortable. I have this shower, from the top of my head all the way down. It's just like in the summertime, you're so hot, and then the shower will cool you down. And in the next session, when you sit, you look for that. Where's my shower? Be very careful on this. Be very careful, especially practice mindfulness. Believe it or not, if you practice enough, mindfulness will arise anywhere, any place. Okay? When you drive, you focus on the driving, all of a sudden, this sensation comes that you don't expect. So what do? You stop the car and feel this sensation. Just observe it and react without reaction to it. So this is part of the practice. Pressure? Don't look for any sensation, okay, please. That's not the meaning that I'm trying to get across, okay? I'm just saying that, whatever sensation that we come across, if we cannot detect it, like the master said, when contact, if we cannot detect it, at least when it arises, do not react. Do not pray for it. Do not be angry and want to get rid of it, because that is part of the craving aversion. And why do we have craving and aversion? Because we are not clear. We have delusions. And sometimes you think that, ooh, this is so good, that could be a delusion. Okay? I talk to you, I have a lot of information. I already sent you the slides this morning, like I said, early-ish. If you haven't received it, let me know. This is not a complete set of teaching at all because I have, another slide that I remind myself. Next year, I go deeper on certain part. For example, the Kalapis, for example, the 7 factors, for example, the 4 jhanas and the material states. Okay, next year we get into it. We will get together. Hopefully Don will be here during lunch this time. We'll talk about the topics of presentation that we would like you guys to focus on. I might come up with 3 to 4, maybe 5 topics that you can choose that you want to focus. And then, how about a group study? Anybody already formed a study group? Or you would like to do it? You don't have to actually meet. Through Paul, we can communicate with the phone, with Skype, webcam, any means. Okay, if you would like to form a group to study. Like I said, presentation, we will see. We're not sure if we would like to have a group presentation. Anybody come up here to do a 5 to 10 minutes presentation. And if you have a group of 4, not more than 6, I would say not more than 6. 4 is a good number. That everybody will have like 15 minutes of your share. Say if we have the Satipatthana as a topic, and you can do from whatever angle you would like to. Would that work? Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. You are going to be a teacher. So be prepared for it. Questions like people come up to you and ask that, why are you doing this and not okay? Be prepared to answer those questions. Where do you go after that if you don't believe in God? Where did your mother's come from if God didn't create you? Questions like that. Be prepared for those questions. Because I have to ask for those questions. Where did Buddha go? Why is Buddha not compassionate and come back here and stay here and teach? What's the difference between an arahat and a bodhisattva? Okay. Why is Mahayana Sutras actually spoken by the Buddha? Are arahats selfish? Questions like that. Very interesting. Very interesting. Also, another set of questions that I have been asked is about the tantra. So, if you're not familiar with, and as a Buddhist, you're going to take the 5 precepts. I refrain from lying. If you don't know, say, I'm sorry, but I'll find out more information for you. Go Google it. That's my trick. Google it, okay? Or ask the master. Give it to the master. Pass the ball to the master. He will receive it. If he won't, then if the master cannot answer, how can I say student I can answer? Right? So we have excuses. Not excuses, facts.